like had Captain Greenskin in it. You know, it's like that extra 5-drop level of buffing the weapon. If there's anything different going to come out there, but most importantly, we've got Demon Hunter, a Weapon Rogue, and this Druid, which I think honestly can and will prey on Bunnyhoppor's lineup quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this Bomb Warrior, right? You've got Mally Druid, which does absolutely fine. You've got Weapon Rogue, which does great. And then even the Demon Hunter, which is classically considered a slight unfavorable against Bomb Warrior by a lot of people. He has included a Acidic Swampooze in the Demon Hunter, has RDU, which, single-handedly can just reverse that matchup because it is such a racy affair that if you're able to just destroy one source of reliable repetitive damage from the Warrior, that can help to swing things in your favor. So, yeah, RDU lineup-wise, certainly looking like he is in a positive position here.
Yeah, we are getting straight into it. As I mentioned, both players are sitting at the top together in Division A. Obviously, that will change after today, as one of them will get that one further step ahead, and also have a very good, or at least lead to one of their tiebreakers being very good, as they will obviously have a win over someone who is also doing well in their group. But so far, Breath of Dreams, Guardian Animals, and a Dragon. Looks like RDU's opening mulligan seems pretty solid as well as his lineup.
Does indeed. I'm very interested in the Bomb Warrior mulligans in this matchup, though, because there are disagreements aplenty on how this is supposed to play out. And yeah, you see again, Bunnyhoppor, I think you asked this very question, was it just yesterday? We were talking about just like keeping removal in the opening hand. You see Bunnyhoppor choosing to do so here because generally you do seem to want a good balance of aggression and removal in your opening hand, which is why you see Bunny holding on to Blade Storm, holding on to Shield Block for a bit of cycle, and also an activator for a Shield Slam, if that's to come into his hand as well. But the rest of his hand, not really playing ball from this point. A couple of risky skippers, not what he wants at this point. He wants to find Corsair Cache, Wrench Caliber, something to actually start being proactive alongside this Blade Storm and this Brawl that he does have access to.
And I will say that the mulligan discussions we had, they do make sense, because in my own play, I've probably tried to go a little bit too aggressive and be like, hard mulligan for the weapon, and hope to just kill my opponent. And the second they even like remotely stabilize or get a Guardian Animals early enough, it is a problem if you don't have one of those answers. But RDU, he only runs 2 runners and 2 Teacher's Pet in his deck, and he has got 3 of those in his hand right now. Not what he's after, especially that we can see Bunnyhoppor has an answer to an on-curve Twilight Runner. Wow.
This is a real decision for Bunny this turn, though, whether he does want to cycle for that shield block, essentially double his chances of hitting Wrench Caliber on curve for the next turn, when he does have that Shield Slam in his hand, which he's going to want to be pairing with that shield block on a lot of occasions.
I do like it, because it's not to be expected that he's going to take any damage next turn, unless the draw is terrible and he gets hero powered for 1. Okay.
Yikes.
Sorry, that is funny. Like, literally the best opening hand with the worst follow-up draws I've ever seen.
Okay, firstly, serious point out of the way. This is the interaction that you worry about, though, right? This is why you want to have Shield Block, Shield Slam as a pair in your hand, because the Twilight Runner can come down with stealth and then carve away your armor, and then you don't necessarily have the Shield Block, Shield Slam available. However, Bunny has that covered in a couple of ways, because he can just Blade Storm it away if he wants to, or he could just stack up 2 more armor this turn, at which point he'd have 8, and then he could still just Hero Power Shield Slam on the turn after that to be able to take care of it if he wanted to. So he's fine to cast the Shield Block there. However, now diverting to what I really want to talk about, is this what we have to do to RDU so he's able to lose a series of Hearthstone? We have to nerf his account so he just draws every single beast and is never allowed to cast Guardian Animals? Come on, I know he's good, I know he can't lose. Come on, give the boy a chance.
Or maybe it's just karma, Sol, and this is what you get for trying to bait your friends.
Yeah, that's also fair.
My question is, when's Sol's karma going to kick in at some point, eh?
Never.
There is the Barov along with a risky skipper, if Bunnyhoppor wants to make that play. It's a rough one, because that combo deals with pretty much any board in the game, especially against Druid. But is that better or worse than just letting a Twilight Runner hit you in the face and draw 2 cards?
Right.
It's a tough call. He does still have a Brawl in hand as well, and he does have Galakron and Kronks available, so he still has ways to remove wide boards, but he's deciding by the looks of it that Barov is too good a resource to use on one minion alone.
Yeah, and I do agree. And I kind of explained the dynamic on the previous turn as well, where he can very happily deal with this Twilight Runner most of the time on the following turn anyway, just with Hero Power Shield Slam, since he has such a nice stack of armor to begin with.
Yeah, for me, it was less the implication of killing the minion and more letting RDU have card draw, I think was the big fact. If that was any other beast, I'd be like, oh yeah, just leave it, let it hit you. But the Twilight Runner is a little bit scary.
I mean, if it was any other beast, it wouldn't have stealth, and you would have just shield slammed it, right? But I take your point.
Yeah. What now? Stop coming at me with logic, Sol.
I mean, you've had, what, nearly 6 years of it at this point. I'm not surprised.
Oh, 6 years. I deserve a medal. Is this ever now beyond the point of what if Bunnyhoppor just goes like coin Galacrond? He would lose his armor, but because he has such a strong response in the form of either Krunks or the Barov, this is just good to just get it down now while he's only taking 9, when he'll have 8 armor to take that 9 into anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely a real possibility. It does mean the Shield Slam can just get long-term stranded at that point when he's one Shield Slam down. I guess he still has his Armor Smiths remaining that he can get work out of it from, but I think I just like using the Shield Slam.
Okay. It is tough to strike the balance between proactive players as the warrior and just playing a kind of control style. I do think it's quite difficult.
Right.
But now, aggressive Alex, one of my favorite players in Hearthstone. A little bit annoying as well. Brawl not going to cut it. Maybe this has to be the Barov turn. So I don't think he can let these hit him in the face now. He could just die to Mali Moonfire next.
Yeah, or just straight up swipe or whatever else. Yeah.
Right. And like I said earlier, it's not like RDU hasn't been drawing cards this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you who's boss.
Yep. It's like he's just going to give this board the business.
Imagine we're going to see coin into weapon as well. Is there anything worthwhile holding the coin? Jeez.
Oh, it's a big boy, Raven.
That's just terrible, isn't it?
Yep.
He's going to coin the weapon, but that's not to deal with this minion. It's mainly because nothing else to do.
Right.
Now, a lot of options actually for RDU to get this done this turn with double nature studies.
Germination now as well. He's going to swipe the face straight up, go fishing with nature studies. All right. Nothing.
Well, this close, can he just fungal? Because he only wants spells but for the Mali, I guess.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh.
Might be getting a little bit excessive at this point.
I mean, with the bloom, that just looks like he's drawing Moonfire to me, so...
What to do?
Yeah, I mean, Fungal Fortunes draws second bloom, Moonfire, Moonfire.
What about just Breath here?
Yeah, I think 2 Fungal Fortunes might be a little excessive.
Yeah. 1 was close to excessive, let's be honest.
Yeah. I think either way, you're just playing Teacher's Pet with the rest of your mana this turn, right?
Yeah, I think so. With that weapon live, why not? The Mookla might just win the game for you here, never mind anything else.
Cute line, though, from RDU, just straight up swiping the face and then going fishing for the lethal with the nature studies. Not something that I'd looked at the start of the turn. Clearly something RDU was considering on Bunnyhoppor's turn. Just keeping maximum pressure up, taking his window to just end the game immediately.
This is looking rough for Bunnyhoppor. I have to get on the phone to Blizzard. One sec. Yep, You need to make RDU's draw worse. Yes, worse than he just had.
Yep.
Yes, I'm sure. Okay, thanks. Just not been one of those games for Bunnyhoppor, has it?
Things I learned, Raven speaks on the phone like he's in a 90s movie where no one has any chance to respond to anything that he's saying.
I mean, my questions required short answers, I guess, but yeah,
Okay.
why not?
Okay.
I'll show you who's boss. Treasure? Loot?
It's just doesn't
It's
even
horrible, isn't
work,
it?
right? Yeah, this doesn't even refresh the... Oh, no! Oh, my goodness! Get back on the phone, Raven. They've pulled the wrong levers.
They're not taking my calls anymore after this, all I can tell.
Okay. One solitary point of damage not found for RDU.
Double germination. Get him, Team Mookla.
I mean, sure.
Could still just innovate the crystal power as well, just to clear off this 4-1.
Yeah.
Clear off the skipper, okay.
Yeah, save the second germination, hold on to the innovates. It's still like, this is kind of insane, right? Because he's still pressuring incredibly hard, but at the same time, he actually just still has full Mali Insanity combo in his hand left in reserve if for some miracle he actually needs it this game.
Oh, this is going to help with the brawl out, though, for Bunnyhoppor.
Certainly is.
Mookla's just going to win, isn't it?
Every time.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, it's at least cycle now for RDU.
Yeah, and arguably he can still get the Malygos out and Moonfire if it's drawn.
Yes.
No big reason not to right now.
What to do?
Not that I can see, at least, Sol.
Yeah, he can also just straight up tempo out the Mali here if he really wanted to. There actually aren't that many answers left remaining to it, but there is the Deathwing, which is probably good enough reason on its own not to.
I am still fully on board with Blooms just getting out of this deck. Even though I'm only choosing to see the matchups where it's bad, I'm still running with it.
Fair enough. Now a little bit of stabilization creeping through for Bunnyhoppor.
It has to be Galakron this turn. Of course, he can still go for cutting class, but that would reduce his ability to hero power as well.
Yeah, I think I just
Just
like Galakron's hero power upgrade. Yep.
Or what about hero power Galakron upgrade? What's better, the damage or the armor?
10 health versus 12. Doesn't seem to change that many significant breakpoints. 12 is still the double Moonfire out anyway. You know if Mali's in hand that there isn't even a single Moonfire in hand right now, or you would just be straight up dead.
Yep. Either way, I like it. Or does 12 give you a bigger chance of actually then going Kronk's deal 5, heal 5 to make you safer?
Well,
Up
I
to
mean,
17.
you can also just make the argument of like pushing the extra damage means that Kronk's deal 5, heal 5 puts the opponent
Kills.
within straight up bomb lethal ranges, right?
No, that's true. And if they're trying to draw cards for lethal, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did choose to go for the armor first. He's going to go up to that 12.
Ooh.
Not a
picks
bad
up,
one to draw.
picks up the big boy boom though. But both risky skippers have been used at this point, and both blade storms as well. So there's no self-activation possibility. But there is the 12. Bloom, germination, Moonfire the face. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that is just going to be enough. It was close, though. Bunnyhoppor was making a go of it. If the Moonfires were buried any deeper, we could have had maybe a bit of a closer game there. But the final Bloom going to help get the job done. And that's going to be game number 1 going to RDU. In one that I'm not even sure who had the worst go of it there? RDU's double Guardian Animals that just didn't work all game, or Bunnyhoppor's just, I guess, awkward turns and having to deal with back-to-back, technically, Muklas coming out there from RDU's teacher's pet. So I think both players had the rough outcome. It's just RDU put enough damage down early to give him the least, the most quick outs, whereas Bunnyhoppor didn't have chance to pile on the damage early on. So there was no, oh, well, if he draws a bomb, I win, or 2 bombs and I win. It just wasn't there.
And you can see the importance of having a good balance in your game plan as the warrior in that matchup, right? Because yes, Bunny had all the removal tools and he's able to pick apart the relatively innocuous boards from RDU, since it was just one beast at a time and not really any big Guardian Animals explosions or anything like that. But because he didn't have the offensive game plan to back that up behind it, he wasn't really able to ever really put any pressure on RDU.
Right.
So RDU was just happy to just draw cards. Like, great, I've got 1 bomb in my deck. Who really cares? I'll just keep cycling, wait until I find this lethal with the Mally. But I do like... there was one potential turn where you could have got really hard baited there as RDU, and I think you did, Raven, where you wanted to just go all the way in with the Muklas, right? At that point, because at that point, Brawl is clearing your board whether you have 2 Muklas or 3, right? Like, that's just always happening. Whereas RDU kind of just going half in is like, well, if Brawl's not there, this board probably sticks, and then, you know, I can win the game just off 2 Muklas anyway. Whereas by holding on to 1 Germination, he kept on hold of that lethal out that he found at the end by just drawing a single Moonfire off his deck and able to germinate the Malagos. So I really like that particular decision from RDU. The only thing he was a tiny bit weaker to in that situation was Deathwing, I suppose. But even then, I don't really think it's that big of a difference.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% would have and did get baited by that, and I'm not even ashamed about it. But mostly, we are going to be moving.
Do it again!
Yeah, I would. RDU going to lock in his Soul Demon Hunter that we can see on screen. Of course, the big difference is that card in his opening hand, the Acidic Swamp Ooze. Some Demon Hunters, at least on ladder, seemingly like to play Sticky Finger instead of a Swamp Ooze in the deck, and I think that is a bit of a nod to just you want to draw your other low-cost cards generally on curve, and then by that time anyway, you'd rather steal the weapon for 5 mana instead of crush 1 for 2. But RDU going for the slightly cheaper option here has a bit more of a, I think, smoother game plan in mind for this matchup.
Right. But RDU kind of has what you need in this matchup, even ignoring the ooze. I think landing a smooth curve is key to victory from the Demon Hunter side, because it allows them to establish themselves as the aggressor in the matchup, which they really, 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 really want to do. You can never make a Bomb Warrior feel like they have to equip Wrench Caliber and swing into one of your minions. Right. That's how you're coming out ahead in the matchup, especially when you are playing Demon Hunter, because if it comes to a straight-up race with just both players smashing weapons into each other's faces, I think the Bomb Warrior gets there more often than not, which might not seem obvious since Demon Hunter has access to the Lifesteal weapon, which can create so many huge swings. But just the constant upgrade effects and all the extra bombs being detonated from the deck, they stack up damage way, way, way too quickly. So I think the advantage that Demon Hunter has, largely, is that they can get these early curves and actually put pressure on in the early game.
Yeah, completely agree. I think Galakrond as well for the Warrior adds a bit of a danger factor for the Demon Hunter, because it's armor gain, damage, and they draw a big minion that's normally quite difficult to kill. So it's like the 3 things Demon Hunter doesn't want you to do in one card. So yeah, Galakrond definitely a bit of a fear factor in the later stages of the game. But you are right, these early minions are already going to be a bit of a problem, as Bunnyhoppor now has to consider the implications of an early Armorsmith, saving coin for a Wrench Caliber next turn, or even coining out the Evil Quartermaster this turn to have a minion that's a little bit more sticky and potentially can trade into this board.
Bunny just going to spend his mana, drop the Armorsmith. I respect it. It looks like a pretty clean Panthara turn for RDU.
Yeah, do you like the full trades here?
Ooh. Consume magic drawn. Does that change the answer to that question?
Maybe. Maybe it just does. I guess with no guaranteed turn 4 play, if he had a Marrow Slicer in hand, I would say definitely not, because he'll just want to Marrow Slice the next turn, and then it doesn't matter about the Consume magic anyway, but...
Right.
He did go for the trade just to get rid of it. But you start to see the problem that you were mentioning with the Wrench Caliber, right? Okay, coin Wrench Caliber, kill a minion, take another 3. They probably play another minion or weapon. It's like, oh, you're always that one step behind at this point.
That's where the risky skipper build can really shine of Bomb Warrior, though, is it's able to deal with these early board states without making significant sacrifices, like your Wrench Caliber charges going into minions. And he doesn't have access to that right now.
And the
so
problem
he is just going to coin this Wrench Caliber, and he is going to be met with imminent disaster.
And obviously we can see this is going to get punished, but I think this is still the play from Bunnyhoppor. Any other option he goes for is just worse, right? It just puts him in a worse spot. And this gave him at least the option to upgrade and then cutting class, which is a pretty big deal, actually, to start digging through his deck. Could even use the Corsair Cash first.
RDU having drawn the Cane here, I guess is considering what leaving this weapon up looks like. He is going to choose to do so. Wants to just continue playing on curve here, and potentially just thinks that dropping the ooze just fits more nicely with his curve. The punish for this is that you do give access to your opponent to cards like Cutting Class, because you have just left the weapon up for a turn for them to fit in.
Yep. Yeah, even without the upgrade, right? It's still just 2 mana right now.
Yep.
Upgrade is going to allow Bunnyhoppor to kill off this Cane, but again, although it looks weird that it's like, oh, RDU's minions that he just plays just dies to the weapon he chose to leave up, it's dealt an extra 3 damage, and RDU's not taken 4 damage to his face, right? So even this play that looks a little bit weird and a little bit punished on the side of RDU, there are still upsides for him as the Demon Hunter. You okay, Sal?
That's so unlucky. It's just unfortunate for Bunnyhoppor. I think he has now taken the read, like, oh, cool, my opponent doesn't have ooze. I don't have to use this Cutting Class right now. I can just chill and play an efficient turn. So actually, for the cost of 1 extra bomb in his deck, RDU has now really got some additional value out of this ooze by getting the upgrade to come down on top of that as well. The ooze comes from the left, and Bunny gets the news. And now that Cutting Class that could have been used is going to be stuck on the far left for Bunny.
And even that turn, with all the upsides you went over, I don't think it was a straightforward option, because equipping Marrow Slicer, like, he's flowed 2 mana, he could have equipped Marrow Slicer and Hero Powered and gone. There were still good options, but RDU, we can see, has been paid off greatly for this ooze plan.
Yes, his hand is now largely stuck for Bunny. He does find the anchor off the Corsair Cache. Is that better or worse for him here? Because it's now a play this turn at least, and it will start drawing him his Skippers and Horde Pillagers.
Yeah, only plays 1 Horde Pillager. But yes, completely correct. Again, though, like, it still feels slow, but he just doesn't have much else to do. He's like, Lackey into Dragon really going to cut it? No. I think what he really needs to do is try and get this Deathwing down with as much health as possible. I think that might be a plan he's going to start aiming for, which includes clearing this board away.
Yeah.
Demon Hunter doesn't do 12 that nicely.
Agreed. Real thought to killing the 1-2 there instead of the 2-1, so you don't just have a 1 health minion left sitting on your board in case RDU, like, say this is Hero Power Gladebound, say that's the turn, right? You just leave a perfect Hero Power target up on the board by trading into the 2 attack instead of the 1 attack. But there is just the serious aspect that Bunny's kind of dying here and kind of just needs to take maximum damage off the board.
Another tough turn. RDU's actually had some hard turns in this game. Even though it's looked straightforward, I think, on surface level. Even now, it's hard not to want to Marrow Slicer, then into Gladebound next turn. That could just set up lethals and so on. If he does that, then this Skull could get locked out of the game for a while. Actually, I'll go with a different play. Just Hero Power and play the Gladebound.
Yeah, he wants to maintain board. I kind of like this, particularly because he has that double jump that he generated, right? So he's drawn his consume magic, and he still has 1 skull left. So he can play an outcast skull whenever he wants from this point anyway. He doesn't actually have to use the one that's outcasted this turn.
And knowing that there's no wrench caliber, right? Because it would have been equipped last turn, you would imagine. His 2 damage weapon is not going to do too much to a glade bound. Is it going to soak a blade storm? Or what about if he actually goes risky skipper? Oh no, that won't matter. Not going to be enough.
What now?
I hate it when you trail off like that because I feel like I've been deprived of hearing you say something really stupid, and that's what I live for.
Definitely
Raven.
have.
Yeah.
You definitely have.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good. You hear enough stupid things from me. You don't need more. Don't be greedy.
It's just what I live for. It gets me out of bed in the morning, listening to Raven say absolute idiocy.
They go for the skull this turn, not going to go for the marrow slicer, and I think that's fair. With no twin slice in hand, especially, like marrow slicer swing twice when your opponent has 12 health and can gain armor. Just doesn't really add up, does it?
Yeah. Damage stacking now for RDU with his opponent down. The depths of 12 health.
Does this just have to be Kronks? Maybe even Skipper Kronks and clear?
Skipper, Kronks, and clear. Yikes.
Right, but at least he can gain 5 armor next turn, potentially, if he wants
Yeah.
to. It's desperation, but I think that's where Bunnyhoppor is right now.
The problem is, like, I guess he's just past the Deathwing plan at this point, because I did agree with that line when you brought it up before of just trying to stick Deathwing with a large amount of health, and obviously if he starts developing big minions of his own that probably aren't going to get cleared, he can't really then land the Deathwing on the following turn.
And he's just going to dig. Does get Armor Smith, and does have 2 risky skippers. Is it even worth keeping hold of the lackey?
Oh, again into a minion. Yeah, Lackey Hold was pretty interesting there for sure, with the Armor Smith now, lined up with the risky skippers. I guess he could have just taken a relatively cheap dragon in that position to function as the last proc anyway.
So that's 6-7 with hero power, and would still have 6 mana left over. That one maker could always... Oh. Hold on. Yep. Diversion.
Hold the dog and bone, Raven.
Yeah. Best of both worlds. Set up lethal pretty much from weapon and on board. But now, how does Bunnyhoppor go about doing this turn? Because with Barov, it's not the simplest thing to navigate with Skipper, Barov, and an Armor Smith.
Right.
Is it actually like Skipper?
Barov, Skipper, Armor Smith, Skipper?
I think so, yes. Yeah. It's got to be, right? He needs the armor and the board clear.
Yeah, it just depends how much armor you do feel like you need immediately, because obviously that line skips a hero power, so it's less long-term armor gain for more survive exactly this turn armor gain.
Right. I think with Galakond in hand, though, as an extra 5 boost, he just needs to not quite die. I think it's important to go, all in, I guess, on the armor gain.
Yeah.
That was only 3.
Yeah, exactly. So this was the part that was always going to happen. It's this decision, I think, which is more crucial. Obviously, he gets
effectively 2 goes.
Yeah, he gets the double proc there because the Barov dies, as opposed to just pressing the button for 2 armor in that position instead, which is a big, big difference. Now RDU's got to start from scratch.
Not too bad, though. He can use this Shard Shatter to clear off this board without having to use a weapon. And then go from there with the one maker. He does have a lot of weapon swings left in his deck.
Impatient.
And his hand,
Yeah,
specifically.
Curious whether he wants to play from the left here instead, just to unlock that second skull again. Would probably mean skipping the consume magic effect, though. Like, you consume magic first, then you blade dance, then you swing the marrow slicer, equip the other marrow slicer.
I think I like keeping the blade dance.
Okay.
Oh, that's what he wants. Yeah, that's what he's after.
It's the juice.
So I'm now got to work out whether it's actually worth equipping. Swing, equip the war blades, so then he has more chance of actually going skull next turn with the twin slice.
Yeah.
It also means you have to sacrifice a hero power, but worth it, I think, in the long run for mana expenditure.
Yeah, it also means not only do you have a better chance of playing skull, but it also means you're landing these twin slices on your lifesteal weapon, which now Bunnyhoppor actually has a realistic chance of setting up a race situation from this scenario if he can stabilize 1 or 2 more turns. So that could end up being very important as well.
Yeah, honestly, from Bunnyhoppor here, he has a couple of choices. Either go for Deathwing this turn, or he could actually just go, like, Galakrond. It doesn't quite add up, but he could potentially use a Shield Slam on this 3-2, and then just go, like, Galakrond, go face, and then just start trying to use Armor Smith to, Shield Block, sorry, to keep gaining that armor whilst pushing 3 to face every turn. A little bit rough, though, staring down the Warblades. He has to Shield Slam, right?
Yes.
Okay. You've already killed that one, Bunnyhoppor.
Well, now it's double dead.
Now it can't be resurrected from, like, Raised Dead or something.
Right.
Was that another twin slice?
No, it's blade dance.
Too many green swishy style artworks to differentiate them in the initial draw.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Still,
It's not a great card to have to throw away just to unlock Outcast, but at least it is cheap enough to be able to do so.
And I think as well, most important, that sucks. Most importantly, he has the other one, right? So it's not like that's the only AoE he has access to.
Yep, Bloodfen Raptor.
He's just got to double check his souls. I'm pretty sure he has enough. If he uses Shard Shatter and that's his last soul, or he draws some, then his Lapidary won't be active.
He has 4 remaining in his deck at the moment.
Also, he does just have Marrow Slicer next turn as well, so
yeah,
it's fine.
But in a lot of spots, I think if you're not directly pushing lethal, you might just prefer to use this Lapidary still on the lifesteal weapon.
Yep. Just important he has a get out of jail free card, I guess, just in case the worst happens.
Yeah. It's 3-2, pretty vital for a number of reasons, though. Firstly, just 3 damage being represented. Secondly, I think a play that's been missed, honestly, multiple times on broadcast, both in GM and in the Masters Tour, is just playing Deathwing as a 12-12 in matchups like this, which, you know, Bunny could have done this turn with an armor up just to try and threaten counter-lethal on the following turn. So now it's not a 12-12, it's a 12-9, which is a much more blade danceable number to achieve for RDU on the following turn.
He has just seen Twin Slice and Blade Dance be used quite recently, though. I mean, that's a good one. But I'm completely with you. I think you'll probably know I'm one of the people who suggest Deathwing the most as just as a play on board a lot of the time as a huge threat. So again, I would have liked it because let's be honest, if that wasn't a taunt, he's just taking tons more damage again, isn't he? Bunnyhoppor kind of got away with that lucky there.
That one is a twin slice off the top.
It's going to force a Blade Dance out.
See how much healing RDU wants to commit here. Can still Twin Slice, Hero Power, go all the way back to 30, and still end the turn on a Marrow Slicer or a second Warblades if he wants to. It's whether he wants to reveal information, I guess, to Bunnyhoppor about his ranges of damage in hand. Whether he wants to just Marrow Slicer straight on top of this and push the extra damage now.
Yeah, I think the heal's really nice, and I think holding at least some of this damage is good. That second slice, as an example, to give him the leeway to equip this weapon. Because he's not out of the woods yet, and with double Blade Dance gone, that is dramatically reducing how he can react to Bunnyhoppor's turns.
Bunny cannot Deathwing here. He's dead if he does so, and he knows it.
What if?
I'm struggling to see the alternatives. Going through the plays one by one, and they all largely end up with the same conclusion.
He can actually go Kronks into 8-8 and Shield Slam the 3-2. From his knowledge, apart from the mystery card in hand, that isn't the second slice, then that would keep him upright, because both minions would have to go into the 8-8. Sorry, the weapon and the minion would have to go into the 8-8.
Yep.
And that's the only realistic outcome he's got.
Yeah, I think so too. That's all he has.
Deal 5 it doesn't quite do it when your opponent's on 30, does it?
No. Especially when it involves leaving up a 5-5 on the other side, which immediately cancels out that damage. And Soul Shear off the top.
That's going to be enough.
5 damage goes through. Second slice plus 4 is 6. Hero Power makes 7. Bunny going to give it up. 2-0 to RDU, and now I believe it is just the weapon rogue that RDU has left to win with at this point.
Yeah, and you know, we've been seeing Bunnyhoppor queue his warrior, and you've got to look at his priest, and even arguably, I think his rogue as well might be quite susceptible to this rogue from RDU, as maybe being a bit too fast, a bit too straight up damage. You know, the secret rogues trying to do all this fancy stuff. You just kill them with a weapon, and then they're dead. That's it. So I think now you start to just see the power of RDU's lineup versus Bunnyhoppor's, along with that ban on the Druid, I think is a pretty heads-up play. Whether there were shenanigans that led to this outcome or not doesn't really matter at this point, but the lineup from RDU does seem to be pretty hard targeted here, and at least to me, Sol, looks like it's going to be quite successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard not for it to be successful when he is 2-0 up already and he has some good matchups left to queue into from this point. Right. But we can take a look at the weapon rogue. There is a single copy of Hooked Scimitar in there, a single Steel Dancer as well. But the deck does revolve around that self-sharpening sword and all of the related buffs. It's, you know, a distant cousin of Bomb Warrior, I would say, in playstyle, right? Where both decks do want to rely on getting this one big weapon down and consistently buffing it up, which is why it is equally vulnerable to weapon removal in a lot of situations. But when you have the read on what your opponent is bringing and you can exploit certain matchups with it, as RDU has felt like he's been able to do here, can be a very, very powerful deck. Yeah,
and it has a few more options to be resilient to hard, even weapon removal.
Yes.
We know how good self-sharpening sword is, but there's 2 of them in the deck and a scimitar, but also the deadly poisons and the Vulperas can, guess what, just buff the rogue hero power dagger, which is still going to stack up as extra damage. So yeah, I actually like this rogue a lot. It just doesn't really seem to have caught on in general, has it? We see it dip in and dip out of GM across regions, but I feel like it's never been the rogue deck. It's either been the secret version or it's been like a stealth, a slightly different stealth package generally.
Yes. Yeah, we've seen a couple of GMs, RDU being one of them, actually sticking on kind of a stealth version that still ran Secret Passage and a few generation cards similar to what the Secret Rogue tries to do. RDU, Bloody Face, I think, were the 2 biggest proponents of that deck up until this point, but RDU has switched to the secret package on a couple of occasions as well, but I do believe this is the first time we've seen him on the outright weapon rogue.
Yep. I believe Surrender was playing a list very similar, if not the same, to this a few weeks ago in Grandmasters as well. But yeah, not seen RDU go for it until now, and this might be part of the switch up to really target Bunnyhoppor here. He's going to be on this warrior again, and he does have yet again the option of going Armor Smith. And honestly, staring at Evil Quartermaster Lackey, it actually looks like an okay option right now. I don't think there's too many things that punish an on-curve Armor Smith. And
yeah,
my
Bunny,
worry...
As I say, Bunny does turn it down here, which I am okay with. Just generally because it's so powerful in this deck in combination with Risky Skipper. Like, that is the build of the deck. That's kind of why it exists, is to be more effective in these kind of matchups where there are a bunch of 1 health minions hanging around. So I'm okay with holding on to it here from Bunnyhoppor's perspective.
Yeah, my worry, as we see the Vulpera get that use out of the hero power dagger, it's really nice on-curve play a lot of the time. My worry is, in times when I've held an Armor Smith in a matchup like this because of Risky Skipper, if you get the Risky Skipper too late, then you pass the point where just playing an Armor Smith on the board and expecting it to gain value, it's long gone, right? Because it's not early enough in the game.
That's true.
So there is an element of risk of holding on to this Armor Smith. Well, if Bunnyhoppor can get hold of a Risky Skipper, you are right. It could pay off in spades.
Better be something good.
RDU did have the option to coin out a Dread Corsair on the previous turn while he had the Vulpera buff in play, kind of in expectation of losing that buff and having Dread Corsairs stranded, but he does now get good usage out of that coin so to immediately find the card draw.
Right. And I think we're very quickly approaching the point for RDU that he just wants Secret Passage into weapon right now. Any of the weapons would do. He has Blade Dance, has Deadly Poison, has Dr. Krastenov, all the tools that pay off having a weapon equipped. And although his hero power does the job, doesn't really want it to be the main target.
What now?
Bunny now with double Armor Smith.
You can go Evil Quartermaster and just, at worst, taunt it up. Or just go for a hero power again if he really wants to be pressing this hero power every single turn.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about double Armor Smith Titanic Lackey here as well. Just, playing 2 Armor Smiths and having one of them as a 1/6 taunt seems incredibly annoying for the opponent to deal with in a lot of positions, especially since they don't currently have a weapon up. It's not like, Dr. Krastenov is going to come down as an efficient rush minion to deal with that, because RDU's not going to want to waste his Dr. Krastenov while he doesn't have weapons in play. Seemed sufficiently awkward this turn.
Yeah, and Bunnyhopper's still thinking about whether to armor up or do something else with his turn. Chose to actually drop one of his Armor Smiths now. So a commitment has been made, but there's a Secret Passage.
RDU though looking like he's just going to continue to play for tempo here.
If there's a slightly slower response here, he can start using like Deadly Poison Krastenov next turn to actually just build a weapon.
Sure.
It does make it significantly better. Extra durability and the extra attack make it quite the threat. It's just whether Bunnyhopper's going to deal with his Vulpera or not, and we can see he easily has the capability to.
Yeah, it's actually very rare. It's actually one of the dynamics of this matchup that makes it so bad for Warrior, is just generally how inefficient Wrench Caliber is in terms of trading into the rogue minions. It just so happens that basically every minion RDU has played this game has been a 3/3. That these Wrench Calibers have actually looked really good. Most of the time, you'll be seeing your opponent curve out like 2-1 into 3-1 into 3-1, and your Wrench Caliber will be absolutely miserable the entire time. Raven, would you like to talk about the mind games?
Guess which one would you go for? Okay, so I think Bunnyhopper's right-handed, so maybe he would have a natural preference of killing off the right one. Although people do generally read left to right in a lot of countries, so maybe that means he's going to go for the left one instead. He could just shield slam one and find out.
What now?
With a hero power, which would be also kind of interesting.
Yeah, let me know when you're done. Let me know when you're done.
But mainly, it's just funny.
Yeah,
Subtle,
okay.
back to you.
Okay. So, Bunnyhoppor actually has the opportunity to be entirely disrespectful this turn, and he is doing it, and I love it.
Nice.
There is 12 damage on play on the in play on the other side. He absolutely does not have to care about it because the start has been so incredibly slow from RDU up until this point. It does mean that whichever of these whelps is the illusion does get full value by trading into the Blastmaster Boom here. But again, these are minor quibbles in a situation where Bunnyhoppor just finds himself miles ahead.
Yep, we do see Passage come down now. And is it going to get a weapon?
In the
Nope.
shadows.
Okay, that I love seeing that as well. The bomb from Secret Passage is just so funny. So that's more than enough mana to equip a weapon. There it is. My worry is, did this need to happen a turn ago, Sol? Like, is this just a little... Obviously,
Right.
facing down Boom feels bad, right? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he could have made this play last turn and already had his weapon cooking.
He could. Whether it would have made any real kind of tangible difference in this scenario, I don't really know. Are you actually even playing cleanup here with the weapon swings? First one went great for him, second one not so much.
Hey, wants these cheap stealth minions to soak up damage, right? He did get one of them to soak 4 then, so not too bad. Okay, now he has the power plays, though. This is when he can start a certain dominance on board. The key question is it too late?
Right. Is he just dead at this point?
A shield block, shield slam takes away the 5/4, then you can just push damage here. I guess armor up shield slam did the same, but why not draw a card?
Yeah. Nothing else particularly effective to spend your mana on this turn, so you might as well go fishing for more options.
Also just give one of these bombs +1 attack and taunt with health. Like, just, it's not the worst thing in the world.
It's very fair.
Other options also include him dropping an armor smith behind a taunt bomb. So I think we are past the point that Bunnyhoppor's waiting for a risky skip of this game, right?
Agreed, yeah. I like him just making as big a board as he can this turn and just trying to push damage and end the game. There are 3 bombs in RDU's deck right now, so putting him down to a 2-bomb breakpoint straight away, just with the 3 attacks from the Boombots, seem very, very relevant. And again, like as soon as a risky skipper or a Blade Storm or anything else is drawn here, those Boombots can be sent face. If RDU doesn't spend his turn trying to deal with them on his own terms.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to go wide now. It's okay. Wasn't sure whether he was going to go for an attack into a Steel Dancer there instead. This, of course, makes his weapon bigger for the Steel Dancer next turn. I just wondered if he wanted potentially multiple bigger minions now for these bombs, because there might not be a next turn at this rate.
Yes. Ordering
well, that was
considerations this turn as well. I guess considerations is whether you even play the cutting class at all with the bombs in your deck, and RDU actually deciding not to here. But even then, the ordering is kind of weird because you want to spend your mana on playing the minions first, so they're in play to soak up bomb damage. But obviously, conventional wisdom would tell you to draw your cards first there before you spend mana on playing other things from your hand.
Well, it's also very interesting that cutting class can kill him with bombs, but is he going to deal over 30 damage this game without drawing cards? Like, I don't know.
Horde Pillager now a very big deal as well, because that Ankar is not broken. So Bunnyhoppor can get a Wrench Caliber back to stack up yet another bomb next turn if he needs it.
Can you shield slam to keep this bomb on board, or he could have used the Goblin Lackey to rush the bomb, clean kill the Krasinov, and hope the bomb does the work, but there's 5!
Dead.
Hey, Steel Dancer exists.
Uh-huh.
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
Easiest card to... or not. There was an option played Steel Dancer first there, right? Before the swing. Just to try and go for it. But Bunnyhoppor does get a win with his warrior at last, taking down the rogue. But still, there is going to be some tough matchups coming up. It wasn't for me, I think at that point in game number 3, the Bomb Warrior is probably Bunnyhoppor's best deck overall against the Rogue versus the Priest or the other Rogue. So and maybe that's still looking okay for RDU. But most importantly, Bunnyhoppor gets his foot in the door there.
He does, yeah, and it was a rough draw for RDU because, like I said, you don't draw Self-Sharpening Sword every single game. You're not expected to, but when you don't, you still have redundancy plans in your deck where you just curve out like Spy Mistress into Greyheart Sage, or even just Spy Mistress into Sneaky Delinquent. And that's very effective against Warrior still a lot of the time because their removal is very, very inefficient lining up against those kind of minions, where you just go 3-1 into 3-1 and start hitting them with it. And unless they get exactly early Risky Skipper, they have to start Wrench Calibering 3-1s because they're under so much pressure. Ankaring 3-1s to just dig through to find that Risky Skipper, which still allows you to stack up a ton of damage before they're even able to get that Risky Skipper to come down. So the fact that all RDU drew in the early game was a bunch of 3-3s just allowed Bunnyhoppor to exit very smoothly, which was just equip Wrench Caliber and start swinging it because it was a very efficient removal tool in dealing with the minions that RDU drew.
Yeah, and I will say I do really like the boom turn from Bunnyhoppor.
Yeah.
Just facing down the 2 big old whelps, effectively, even though one was weakened. Just saying, no, actually, this boom's just awesome. I'm doing tons of damage. It's going to be tough for RDU to deal with because on the flip side of decks being able to deal with certain size minions, Rogue doesn't really deal with a board of 1/1s that well, actually, because all its minions are generally want to have that high attack, low health to try and go phase. So it was a pretty good recognition there from Bunnyhoppor, and it paid off a lot. And now we're going to move on to a Rogue mirror in class, but definitely not in archetype.
And this looks very much like the business from RDU's hand to me. Held on to 1 backstab, had the option of 2 backstabs and a secret passage, threw away the secret passage, which I do agree with, just to try and find a smooth curve earlier on and want to have something guaranteed to spend your mana on early as opposed to having to go digging super early with the secret passage, and is rewarded with a pretty dream-looking curve right now. The Hooked Scimitar might just be a little bit surplus to requirements for some time, but backstab, Spy Mistress, Self-Sharpening, very, very strong opener.
Yeah, in a roundabout way, I actually think it's the opposite. I think we could see the Scimitar earlier to deal with a potential Hanar or Quest Adventurer.
Sure.
And then see the Self-Sharpening Sword as the weapon that actually wins the game.
That's fair.
Because Scimitar, you don't normally plan on buffing that weapon. It's just a good high damage, low cost card. Has Bunnyhoppor not got a terrible opening himself? Obviously, the openings for this deck are a little bit weird to judge, at least in my opinion. Like, he threw away a Quest Adventurer in his opening hand. It did end up with a Dragon's Horde that we cannot see for whatever reason. So we will at some point, I guess, see the card he chose. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't see it on my personal view either. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Double plagiarize. I know Bunnyhoppor likes to dagger on 2, but there's just too many plagiarizes to pass up here.
Coin's still available, so plagiarize would at least punish a coin weapon play from RDU, at least allow Bunnyhoppor to then match it on his own terms.
Which is a pretty big deal. If you gave this deck a free Self-Sharpening Sword, for example, it's like,
yeah,
okay.
So yeah, I do like the plagiarize here.
And with plagiarize in mind, do you think RDU should put a lot of emphasis on trying to play around it, or do you think he should just pretend it doesn't exist and say my game plan is stronger than yours, even if you get some of my cards?
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, you have to commit at some point if you're going to do it this turn. So you'd like coin to see if it was Dirty Tricks, and then you'd know, right? Because Bunny is only playing Plagiarize and Dirty Tricks. He doesn't have the ambush in his deck. So as soon as RDU coins this turn, he knows. But I think, honestly, once he coins, he only has 2 options, which is to commit to one of the weapons anyway, like you say, or at that point then just go, like, dagger up Deadly Poison, and then just give Deadly Poison to the opponent as the solo card alongside the coin. Pretty tough.
Maybe the Scimitar, I think he equipped there.
Yep.
Okay, so he's going to give that over. And I like this because generally I think the Deadly Poison plan might be okay, but with Self-Sharpening Sword, Deadly Poison, like that is so much damage. It'll literally solo Bunnyhoppor if RDU can just get all the attacks off. So I think giving him a scimitar to use, especially considering there's a 3-1 on the board right now, is fine, right? Yeah, you swing that 4-1 weapon into a 3-1. Oh, you want a dagger instead? What a shame, you've got a 3-cost weapon sat in your hand.
Yeah, very much agree. It's the similar dynamic to what we were talking about with the warrior, right? Where it's just an inefficient weapon when you're the defender.
Yeah.
It's an offensively built weapon. That's what it's designed to do, is just go face and race damage. It's not really designed for trading into minions.
Many options.
Did you like the no swing from RDU there? Because he has a lot of swings of that self-sharpening to get through.
He does, but this gives him the potential, I think, to curve out very quickly into Steel Dancer, potentially. Like, he can actually get his Steel Dancer down off the back of the Hook Scimitar this way in some worlds. So I do kind of like him leaving that option open for himself.
I'm going to go for a 6-drop. It's going to play out pretty nice here for RDU.
Yep.
Just pumping all of the damage out. Use that mana. Always happy.
I am indeed. Yeah, and I like the way this curve has worked. I think RDU had to do something a little bit creative here because of the threat of the plagiarize from Bunny. I think giving him Hooked Scimitar was definitely superior to giving him Self-Sharpening in this spot. And I think because of that, he's created this slightly unique curve where he's going to curve out into Steel Dancer using the Deadly Poison on the Hooked Scimitar, as I was alluding to. And I do like this curve.
Looking at this, what is Bunnyhoppor supposed to do about it? I don't even know what he's particular. I guess Hanar's Secret Chain, even if it's not quite yet, is the best outcome, right? He can get Ice Barriers, Noble Sacrifices, and so on. Like, so all these secrets that can actually just force RDU into tough spots. But to get to that, and to get to that safely, it's going to require a little bit of luck, I think, with a potential secret passage. Or do that. He does have backstab. Can't play it this turn, of course, but it does allow him to get through one next turn.
May I have this day?
Mirror image, absolute insanity. And remember, Bunnyhoppor has this extra coin now.
Okay.
Bunnyhoppor has this extra coin now, so he has Coin Armagadillo after this point as well, which is just a taunt minion in its own right, even if it's not buffing any other taunts.
And if RDU saps one of those mirror images, he is in for some trouble. Not even a slight snicker. Oh. There's no quest in Plagiarize, which honestly at this point, is Bunnyhoppor expecting questing to actually go big and win the game, or should it just be another minion in the way for RDU to try and consider / deal with?
Yeah, so he can go questing here, or he can go Plagiarize Secret Passage and look for Blackjack Stunner just to be able to like win the board really aggressively and push through the Kartu.
Yeah, he does get the kill, obviously, with a scimitar on the 4/4 as well, if that's the case.
Finds a different alternative. This is insane! Shadow Step the One Thief, replay the One Thief, puts a mage spell in your hand, Vendetta costs 0, Vendetta the 4/4, play the Edwin Van Cleef.
It's a pretty good turn, isn't it?
Hello?
I believe that's Apex catchphrase, Subtle. I'm not sure you can use that.
It's fine, they steal all mine anyway, I wouldn't worry about it.
They've coined the word hello.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to use it. I'm actually going to take it out of my intro next week. I'm just going to be like, welcome everyone.
You have to say hello, like the old-fashioned version. Hello.
Or just German. Hello. Okay, though, this is a big deal, though. 14 Van Cleef, that outside of what exactly the one sap in RDU's deck is just immortal right now.
Look at his little face. Oh, he's upset.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Should go and make a salad after this match is over. Make him feel better. Do a cooking stream. Plagiarize is just going to give Bunnyhoppor more of a 2-turn lethal setup right now. With these stealth minions. What about just counterspell, stealth, stealth? Because then that requires RDU to not only draw sap that he clearly does not have right now, but then also have a spell to proc the counterspell first, which he does have, but from Bunnyhoppor's point of view.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm trying to work out like if there's any world where damage gets through both of these mirror images and then you're actually under threat of lethal on the opposing side, even with the counterspell down. Because the other world is just to like play another big taunt with the Armadillo and just ship everything face.
It's true. I think Bunnyhoppor just has good options, right? And I think whichever one he does probably leads to him winning this game. I think I've got Secret Passage locked in my head, right? Of like, can RDU Secret Passage his way out of this? Because on 2 cards, 3 on the draw, he might need to. And is Counterspell the best response? It's a tough one, though. I think you are right. I think the taunt is just as good.
I do like this counterspell, though, because the secret passage combination is there, but it has to end up being like secret passage plus backstab and a sap and an eviscerate, something like that, right? So when you add in an additional spell that then also needs to get counterspelled in combination with all of those things as well, I think it's very reasonable. But you can then create that same argument for the Armadillo, right? Whereas, which additional card do you then need to get through the Armadillo on top of that as well? Right. So I think largely Bunny was in a winning position as soon as he hit that Edwin turn. I think that was the turn when he chose to go Secret Passage over questing, recognizing that questing isn't good enough in that spot and he needs to hit something potentially juicier. He found the Edwin Van Cleef and literally probably the best possible remaining Edwin hand in his deck at that point. But I was already talking about Blackjack Stunner hands that he could have picked up there, which were very, very powerful. So there were multiple routes that Secret Passage could have taken him towards the end.
And that does mean it's just this Priest left for Bunnyhoppor, the final hurdle, which will put him at the top of Division A. If he loses, RDU goes to the top. And honestly, this deck is actually one of the lists or versions of the list I prefer a bit more. We've seen lists that cut Holy Smite. We've seen lists that only run 1 death. This one runs 2. But for me, I feel like this one particularly just is a very solid Priest list as an all-rounder, which means it has good game versus aggro.
All right, Raven, you're gonna have to talk to me, right? We're gonna dig into this like the 1 card in your deck thing that you always say.
Always, bit of an exaggeration,
always,
but okay.
Literally every time, right? So this is a version of Priest that cuts Galakron, right? And it largely like the decks that play Galakron don't normally play Holy Smite or Penance, and the decks that cut Galakron usually cut them for Holy Smite or Penance or something in the early game that kills an early minion. Why doesn't your logic say, for the sake of 1 card, you could just have Galakron in your deck and you have infinite value? Like, doesn't that line up with this nonsense that you always say?
Not at all. And I'll educate you.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this.
Lesson 1. Can't play Galakron if you're dead. So if you're going to play an anti-aggro card instead, it allows you to not die, which then allows you to spend mana on other cards late game, such as Soul Mirror or Morazan. So if you're swapping Galakron for a Holy Smite to stop dying, then yeah, sounds good, right? You get more use out of it than Galakron.
I completely agree, yeah.
Well, there you go, see?
Preaching to the converted, Raven. I just wanted to hear how it fits into
So for the slot of just 1 Holy Smite slot in your deck, you cannot die in a game of Hearthstone.
Be alive!
There you go. There you go.
Alright, I get it now.
No need to thank me. It's free.
I wasn't going to.
I had a funny feeling you weren't. 1 Maker, not a bad pickup at all for Bunnyhoppor. He does have all these anti-aggro answers though, right? He has the Wild Pyro if one of those like wide stealth curves happen that Rogue is capable of doing, but also just has other minions to play out here, and even that spot removal with that Holy Smite. Not looking too bad so far.
Yeah, I think Bunny will have to be in the business of just tanking damage a little bit here because he has a decent rebound with the Renew. Obviously, he has the Pyro to clear up, but I think the more value he can milk out of that Pyro clear, the better. He has a little bit of bounce back with the Renew, but he also has quite a lot of hidden potential healing with those 2 Cobalt Spellkins in hand as well, right? Which offer you healing on a a lot of occasions. So yeah, I like just one make a pass here. This makes sense. There's the quote-unquote punish for attacking with your stealth minion on the previous turn, but no big deal. RDU is an aggressive deck. He's being aggressive. He didn't have it in hand at the time. Absolutely fine.
And here's my question. Does this ever warrant a sap? It doesn't, right? It does mean that he could get an extra attack out of his Spy Mistress again if he saps this away. He's going to choose to dagger, which I think is much more reasonable. You know, I'm not hard pushing for this, but protecting your board is going to be pretty important for IDU. I think he needs every point of damage he can get.
That's the juice, Raven. Cleric of Scales, pick up an Apotheosis or another Renew.
Are you not looking at Pyromancer this turn, Renew?
No.
You don't want to just wipe 5 damage from the board?
You can wipe 3 damage from the board anyway. I want to be greedy now that I have Cleric of Scales in my hand, particularly.
Okay.
I think you can line that up with Pyro Apotheosis potentially, right? If you fish the Apotheosis. You saw the look on Bunny's face though. He's a greedy boy as well. And this is the punish for our greed. We did not get offered the Apotheosis.
Renew's not bad though. Not bad at all.
It's a decent second prize for sure. Yeah, I think important to get down that Draconic Studies this turn. So you're able to curve out into Cobalt while preserving the coin in hand. Means if you are ever able to get hold of that Apotheosis, you can use the coin as an additional Pyro Apotheosis prop.
How'd you go in for the Infiltrated Lillian? Which is, again, another stealth minion that will then be active for Greyheart Sage. Double Secret Passage as well means RDU is not going to be worried too much about resources in this game. I do think he will be fishing for a weapon in the near future, though.
Yes, agreed. I imagine he'll go digging with the Greyheart Sage first, and then if he doesn't find anything spectacular off the Greyheart, the turn after that, he will go fishing with the Secret Passage, looking for a self-sharpening sword. This is a really tough turn for Bunny, though. Breath of the Infinite available just to shut down a large amount of this damage, but obviously then he is tanking the 4. He does have Holy Smite to follow that up.
Yeah.
And there's also the potential to just rip the Raised Dead there, hit the Cleric of Scales, and go back in for the Apotheosis again to try and set up the greedy play with the Pyro. But I think addressing the damage on board is just the best way to go about it this turn.
Oh, yeah, it is starting to get a little bit scary for Bunnyhoppor. He still has access to heal, still has access to removal, but RDU's done a good chunk of damage without even accessing a weapon yet. And that's where things are starting to get a little bit scary. And although Scimitar is the most damage up front, I think it just has to be self-sharpening, right?
Yeah, I mean, even unbuffed, self-sharpening sword is more damage. Even if it doesn't receive a single buff, and he knows that he already has the buffs.
He also has Krasnov in his natural hand, and he has another Secret Passage, right? So he can just fish for buffs next turn, and it's always going to be better there, but just taking the time to consider buffs. I think this sap might be pretty clutch, because if Bunnyhoppor can't stick a minion and have an active attack, even if he gets an Apotheosis, he might have to preload it, and RDU can just say a hard pass on that one.
Right. How brave you feeling, Bunny? Is this Raised Dead getting played this game? Is this Raised Dead getting played this game? That seems to suggest it's not.
Does have Cabal Acolyte for that Lazul scheme potential?
So I kind of like the Power Word Shield there. I don't know how much of that is because I'm staring at a Krasnov. I guess it doesn't protect from the Krasnov anyway, because the Krasnov attack goes first, and then your weapon's dealing 3 anyway, so you can still clear it up.
And funnily enough, with this play, he gets to steal Krasnov if it doesn't die.
That's true.
Potentially steal, should I say. Potentially steal. And there's the sap on the spell. Can RDU just saying, I don't, well, I can't kill your minion this turn, so you aren't going to land an active apotheosis on it.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. A Pyromancer Holy Smite does clean up this board pretty nicely and still allows him mana to renew as well.
So does Cabal Holy Smite on top of that, though.
Oh, that's
Where
true.
you
That's true.
just steal the 2-1 and actually have the taunt in play as well. This time, Power Word Shield, since it can come down on a taunt minion. Has some potential.
Yep. Unnerf the Cabal Acolyte.
Yeah, exactly. Still going to get farmed by this Krasinov on the following turn, though.
Your mind
Good to me.
is not your dance, puppet. Dance quickly.
Is he going to use the Powered Shield now, or does he feel he might need it for something else?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to overthink it here. Just make your taunt bigger. Man, the difference between hitting the Apotheosis and not off that first Cleric of Scales, it's just night and day, this game.
So
Really is. RDU does still have not the most straightforward turn, right? Nothing really adds up well. He has powerful options, but nothing really just like really like melds together, right? Turn just feels a little bit off no matter which way he looks at it. What should we go for Jandis? And I actually wonder at what point he can consider Secret Passage for potential like minimum value, as in like fishing for one card specifically.
"17 cards left remaining in his deck. It's quite unlikely that he hits any one individual out that he's looking for, especially after the nerf, that being lowered to only 4 options. I think it's a play that happens slightly less often these days since the nerf.
Right.
Unless you are very deep in your deck, of course, in which case the odds are just likely in your favor if you do need to hit that one outer.
I wonder.
So Lazul's scheme does reduce by 3, which does set up some nice Cabal Shadow Priest plays here. Ah, good guess.
Yeah, so he gets to clear this board, steal the 4/4 if he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty good to me. And this taunt sticking around, even at 1 health, is very important here for Bunnyhoppor.
It is. The 1 health breakpoint when your opponent already just has a massive weapon in play is a very big deal against this deck.
We can see, though, RDU has Krasinov, and honestly, having Krasinov have an easy trade and live is also a big deal. So it's kind of a win-win for both players right now.
It's true, but you are making a huge board of your own regard, though, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like your opponent is going to have any high likelihood of sticking a Krasinov here.
No. It's just a big deal to be able to gain the durability, right, and have something left over.
Yeah.
I wonder if... No, probably not. Does he ever swing the weapon into the 2/1? Play Krasinov Scimitar and trade Krasinov into the 1/4?
Interesting.
Because then he gains like... He gains what, a 5/3?
Yes.
I'm not sure that whether that's just fancy or whether that's good. There's a thin line between those two things.
There is, yeah. I mean, it's a similarly sized weapon that he gets from the Hook Scimitar. But the
Right.
big difference is that he deals with the 1/4 before it comes a 4/4, right?
Exactly.
Without necessarily sacking all that much damage. You can still, I guess, choose to do that and trade into a minion here with the giant self-sharpening that he already has. Which is very reasonable as well.
Really tough call, though. Yes. Well, I was just going to say, it's tough because, yes, there's secret passage, but RDU doesn't have all the time in the world, right? He does actually need to end this game because it's getting more and more to the point where Bunnyhoppor is still on 17 health. He still has plenty of cards. He's going to start taking over this board. In fact, he already has started taking over this board, which means RDU either has to go for like full board control for the game and hope that works, or just try and end it quickly, and he went for the end quickly option.
There's so many choices still this turn. Went for the Draconic Studies, didn't hit on anything defensive. No Taunt Dragons, of which there are several that he can use to be defensive there. Didn't hit, but then even from that position, just Twin Tyrant and Race, I think, is like a reasonable prospect in this spot, right? He went for the Kobold Spellkin instead, looking for more additional healing. As I mentioned, you very often get healing off Kobold Spellkin, because there is both the Renew and the Radiance.
It's so interesting because even then, he had the option of actually going Fairy Dragon, Wave of Apathy, double trade. You make a huge board. Yes, you're going to take some damage next turn, but your minions are much safer. I guess 1 health minions are the same as 4 health minions to RDU right now.
Toxin class is insane. Volpira Toxin Blade is insane.
Double stealth minions normally in this position in the game pretty good, but Bunnyhoppor still has that wild pyro in his hand. He's had multiple opportunities to actually play it down.
He still has that Race Dead in his hand as well. Remember when I was asking whether this ever gets played this game?
I do. It wasn't too long ago, I recall.
I'm just so curious about it, right? Because like it felt like he had a bit of a safety net. He could have potentially taken 3 damage, and he could have got Cleric of Scales to go looking for Apotheosis again. And I think we've seen this entire game. The difference between Apotheosis and no Apotheosis is a lot more than 3 health, right? So as long as you can spend that 3 health without dying, it feels like something that can potentially just lock out the game. But I think at this point, we're back into the zone now where the Raise Dead can never be cast.
Yeah, and also the weird point that because he didn't use Wave of Apathy last turn, the Pyromancer is actually more of a problem this turn. He's actually working against him a little bit, right?
Right. Oh, Renew.
So can make his minion a 5/5.
4-1 trades, 4-1 goes face, Pyro Renew, I imagine.
Yeah, it has to, right? If he Pyro Renews, does he just commit to the Inner Fire anyway?
Or an Inner Fire first and then Pyro Renew? Or Renew first, Pyro Inner Fire, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's probably, probably just the right way to go about it. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, get this thing hitting him for 5.
Yes.
Not 4. Although it's looking like Bunnyhoppor's got a chance here, RDU's going to keep pushing damage.
Oh, cutting class again!
It's getting so deep into the deck that Secret Passage is going to start drawing guaranteed cards, or at least close enough.
Yeah. 12 cards remaining, 10 after this. He's drawing close to 50% of his deck already, and there is an Eviscerate. He's just sinking it.
I like it, honestly. And even the taunt, although you can see it just already dies, it just makes things that little bit more awkward, reduces the damage that RDU is going to take by that little bit more, and further guarantees that next turn, this second swing of the Scimitar plus Secret Passage can get there.
Wayne, what's this next turn business, Raven? The only cards he has left for damage are Deadly Poison and Eviscerate. He can just cast them right now if he draws them.
Yeah, you know what? Didn't even think about it.
A cruel fate awaits you.
Greyheart Sage, the Abyss is locked out now.
Oh, second Deadly Poison, though. Actually, for some reason, thought he already played a Deadly Poison. I think that's last game, wasn't it? Oh, still no.
Not it. Trade
it's
off the
just-
initial Pyro, raise dead, hit the Cleric of Scales. Cleric of Scales, the Apotheosis. Second Pyro, Apotheosis, Wave of Apathy, heal for 1,000,000.
Sure. He has to, right? He's just dead if he doesn't do something towards getting an apotheosis here.
Yep.
And hero power your own face is not going to cut it.
Nope. That's all I see. See if Bunny can see something better. There goes the Pyro. There goes the Raise Dead. There goes the Cleric of Scales.
They come.
Oh!
Not too quickly.
Oh!
Quick, raised it again! Wait.
Taunt Dragon.
Falcon!
Your mind is not your own.
Okay. Okay. Bunny's alive.
Oh my. 1 health and a dream. He is setting up lethal. Sorry,
Yep.
3 health now with the hero power. Apologies. Oh, okay, Adi's locked in. That's a Viscerate off the top. It has to be. It had to be. And that is going to be the series, and Bunnyhoppor cannot believe it. But fair play to Bunnyhoppor. He brought that all the way back and almost got there and missed Apotheosis for the whole game. But RDU takes the win. And you can see how he feels about that. Relief. He was so far ahead in that series. He was probably like, sweet, perfect count. I had the great target lineup. It worked. It's paying off. I'm winning games. Oh, wait, it's 2-2. Oh, wait, he's just healed and put a taunt up. I only have 1 card in my deck that helps. And he got it. Whew. Huge series there between these 2 players. I expect nothing less, Sol.
Yeah, and it was honestly a road game where I had a lot of questions, a priest game where I had a lot of questions from Bunnyhoppor's perspective, whether it was that early usage of the Raised Dead or the lack of early usage of that Raised Dead, and whether he could have raced a little bit quicker with the tempo play with the Twin Tyrant on the turn I was talking about it, where it got discounted with Draconic Studies. There was a few different lines that certainly could have been looked at there from Bunny. And Bunny's usually one of the people that tunes in to the last 30 minutes or so of the broadcast after they're finished and lets me know their thoughts on things that I'm saying at the end. So if you catch this, feel free to hit me up on Discord and let me know what's going through your head during that game, because I did find it very interesting. Did find myself disagreeing with a couple of the plays. But nonetheless, RDU is going to be come out victorious there with, should we say, the unconventional, the unexpected, the risky lineup that he brought to the week. Still not entirely sure what went on there, but what ended up happening is RDU picked up a win, and that means there's going to be no dispute who sits on top of the standings graphic at the end of this weekend, Raven. It's going to be RDU, although I think potentially Casey might still have something to say about that.
Potentially. We will have to get there, but we do have to finish the day 2, and we have 1 more match to go before we do that. And I am hurt